Tonight, global eyes are fixed on Cairo. President Trump is pushing negotiators to move fast on ceasefire talks between Hamas and Israel. Talks that could reshape Gaza's future. Trump is threatening what he calls, quote, all hell like no one has ever seen, if Hamas doesn't agree to his White House-backed 20-point plan by his deadline.
We don't need flexibility because everybody's pretty much agreed to it, but there'll always be some changes. But the Hamas plan, I tell you, it's amazing. You're going to have peace, if you think about it, peace in the Middle East for the first time in, they say, really, 3,000 years. So I'm very honored to be a big part of that. Look, they've been fighting for a plan for years. We get the hostages back almost immediately. Negotiations are going on right now. Will probably take a couple of days, and people are very happy about it.
But critics warn, this isn't peace. It's power politics.
For more, we're joined by Daniel Levy, president of the U.S. Middle East Project and a former Israeli peace negotiator under Prime Ministers Ehud Barak and Yitzhak Rabin. His recent Substack post is titled Interpreting the Trump-Netanyahu Gaza Plan.
Well, it's not a peace plan. It's many things, but not that. Look, the most important component is whether this can bring an end to the Israeli assault, a ceasefire, the release of Israelis, the release of Palestinians held in Israel, the Israeli military withdrawal from Gaza, and the entry of massively needed humanitarian assistance, which Israel has been preventing in its starvation policy, and the entry of that on scale. The Prime Minister here, Tony Blair and others, my assessment is that they would then try and impose such a model in the West Bank, where you currently have nominal, even to the words West Bank. So the idea that this is going to set aside 3,000 years or whatever the president wants to call it is patently absurd.
While Trump paints himself as the peacemaker, Netanyahu calls it military pressure that forced Hamas to the table.
To bring back our remaining 48 hostages, I instructed the IDF a few weeks ago to enter Hamas's most important stronghold, Gaza City. At the same time, I coordinated with President Trump and his team a diplomatic move that turned the tables in an instant. Instead of Israel being isolated, Hamas is isolated. And as a result of the intensified military pressure we applied and the diplomatic pressure, Hamas was forced to agree to the plan we brought.
But Hamas rejects Trump's proposal for foreign governors like Blair ruling Gaza.
We will never accept anyone not Palestinian, to control the Palestinian. This is not belong to Hamas only. This belong all of the Palestinian and the Palestinian Authority and the PLO. They should say what their response about this.
In Cairo, negotiators from Israel, Hamas, Jared Kushner, and Trump's envoy, Steve Witkoff, sit across in direct talks. Levy warns this is more about spin than substance.
Netanyahu, of course, will want to assert that victory narrative. And the truth is there are many things that one would imagine come from an Israeli pen, or at least an Israeli song sheet. Hamas has never insisted on maintaining its governance. In fact, even before October 7th, 2023, it was ready to hand that over to relevant Palestinian bodies. Netanyahu, in terms of the change in his position, that largely comes because the American president seems to be more insistent now. But what he would like to do is maintain the ability to avoid the parts of this plan which, while they won't lead us to peace, could at least lead us to something less awful in Gaza.
And while leaders debate, Palestinian civilians keep dying. Aid seekers are killed. Bombs still fall on Gaza and Lebanon, and pressure is mounting worldwide. From Europe's protests, Italy strikes, even flotillas sailing to break the siege. Now, a new name enters negotiations. Marwan Barghouti, long seen as a unifying Palestinian leader. His release could change everything.
Marwan Barghouti is significant because in the past he has been a unifying figure. He managed to reach a document during his time in prison, early in this term of prison, between Fatah and Hamas. It was ultimately dismissed by the current PA-PLO Fatah leadership. But he is seen as someone who has broader credibility, as noticed in polls with the Palestinian public, than those who currently run the show and who have not put themselves up for election amongst their own people.
So what's next? Trump's deadline looms. Netanyahu seeks a victory lap. Hamas digs in on sovereignty. And Barghouti's possible release electrifies Palestinians. As Levy warns, this isn't peace. At best, it's survival. At worst, it's the setup for another war. Stay tuned. The fight for Gaza's future is just beginning.